Hey, Pretty Girl Club. Welcome back to the Decentering Men series. Today I'm going to respond to that talking point where men are like, oh, I don't want someone waiting for me at the finish line. Well, the only people I've ever heard say that are the men who never met the finish line. Sir, you never finished high school. You never finished college. You never finished building your career. You never finished paying off your debt. You never finished fixing your hairline. You never finished building that business. So, of course, you're saying you don't want anybody waiting for you at the finish line because you're never going to make it to the finish line, sir. You're average. You're average at best. They love saying that women are average, that we're sixes and, we're not cute. Sir, you are average at best. So, there is no finish line for you. So, of course, you're going to have that talking point of, I don't want someone waiting for me at the finish line. And by the way, men who do reach the finish line, they actually do end up wanting to have a girl after they reach the finish line. And you know how I know that? Why is it that men will break up with their high school girlfriend before they go off to college? Well, because he finished. He finished high school. He's done with that part of his life. He wants to go to college now. He wants a college girlfriend now. Why is it that when they finish college, they break up with their girlfriend again? Well, because he's done with that stage of his life. He's ready to move on. He's ready to quote unquote level up. He's upgrading on that woman. Why is it that when a man gets a new job in a new city, usually he is finished with his girlfriend from the old city? Yeah, because he met the finish line. He's done living in Atlanta. He's done living in Chicago. He is now moving to LA. He's moving to Miami. He's moving to a new country. So he wants new experiences. So this talking point that, oh, I don't want somebody waiting for me at the finish line. No, actually you do, because if we were to just look at you guys' patterns, that's literally what it is. So as far as a woman waiting for him at the finish line, though, I will say that that's kind of inaccurate because generally speaking, women don't tend to chase men. What they call chasing men is literally just women flirting. Like men's standards are so low that they think that a woman flirting with him is her chasing. And it's like, no, sir, somebody flirting with you, that's literally breadcrumbs. That they think that a woman breadcrumbing them is a woman chasing them. So that's why they have this mindset of, oh, I'm attractive. All the women chase me. No, those women, they just waved hello. They said hello at the grocery store. They said hi to you. And I also find it interesting how if you look at a lot of the pickup artist content, a lot of it is really focused on just having sex. It's really just focused on getting sexual attention because these men are so validation starved. A lot of men are touch starved. So I talked about that in some of my other Decentering Men videos. Be sure to check those out. And also be sure to join my Patreon as well. We go deeper in depth talking about men and the male gaze and stuff in the Patreon. But a lot of men are so desperate and their standards are so low that they're willing to settle for breadcrumbs. So they think that a woman sleeping with him is like the prize. And it's like, sir, you accuse women of being pumped and dumped. You're getting pumped and dumped, sir. You're being pumped and dumped. She only came and traveled to Italy and then slept with you one time and then she dumped you. She ghosted you after that. So I find it interesting how they say that men do these behaviors and they act like women can't do the same thing. They try to make it like, oh, I'm so hot, I've just got a harem of women. But then they shame women that do the same thing, or they pretend like it's impossible for women to also have the same thing. Men want women way more than women want men. And in terms of this talking point, oh, I don't want someone waiting for me at the finish line. First of all, sir, what did you even finish? Like, what do you consider to be finishing something? Do you mean like finishing your goals? Because a lot of times men will have a woman helping him achieve his goals. And then as soon as his goal is achieved, of course, he wants to get a new woman who didn't know him when he was broke. Because think about it. When you are trying to finish something, finish college, finish paying off debt, finish losing a bunch of weight, you're going to go through a lot of hard times. You're going to hit a lot of plateaus. You're going to have a lot of failures before you have the success. So most men, they don't want to stay with the woman who reminds him of his trauma. That's also why men don't tend to choose women who are just like their mothers. A lot of men, they want a woman who's different than his toxic mother, right? Because the toxic mother reminds him of his childhood traumas. So he's going to go after a woman who is the opposite of the woman who reminded him of his past. So whatever dusty man you were with, whatever man you helped build up, Not only is he going to level up once he reaches his finish line, but he's probably going to go for a woman who's opposite of you as well. Because he's associating not just you, but also your looks, your phenotype, how you speak, how you carry yourself, your weight, your body type. He's associating all of those things with his dusty past. Why is it that when you look at men like Elon Musk or like, I don't know, you look at anybody who becomes successful, whether it's in business, it could be in sports or something, the girlfriend that he had before he became famous, it's almost never the same girlfriend. And especially these guys who are actors and all that, usually the types of women he was attracting when he was a bum are going to be different than the types of women he attracts at a different level. And that's exactly why men actually do want a new woman once they cross the finish line, because that man feels like he has higher status now. So he feels like with his newfound status or money, now he can attract a better woman. Somebody who looks better. Somebody who lets him get away with more bullshit. That's really what it is. Oh, I don't want a woman waiting for me at the finish line. Yes, you do. You want a nice, submissive pick-me who's willing to let you cheat. You're willing to be with that woman waiting for you at the finish line. And you didn't even achieve your finish line without the help of a woman. And that's another thing, too. They're saying that they don't want you to wait for them at the finish line because they want you to go 50-50 with them. They want you to help build them up. That's what it is. He is not capable of building himself up. He's codependent. He's not capable of finishing college on his own. That's why he had to use his girlfriend at the time to do his homework for him. His ex-girlfriend in college was taking notes for him. His ex-girlfriend in school was cooking and cleaning for him. So he couldn't even reach the finish line by himself. He can't even finish cleaning his house by himself. He can't even finish doing his own laundry by himself. So I find it hilarious that they're suddenly talking about finish lines as if these men are some Olympic level achievers. Like, sir, what have you even finished? Name 5 positive things that you finished in the last 5 years that will increase your status. Name 5 things, sir, that you have finished that will cause more women to like you. I'll wait. But they say these talking points because they want you to go 50-50, and it's never actually 50-50. Generally speaking, the woman tends to invest more because women tend to have more to offer. Things like childbearing. Men can't bear children. But a man will say that he wants you to not be at the finish line, so you have to build him up to get to the finish line, right? What does that even look like? Building him up, helping him achieve the finish line. Usually when you ask a man what his goals are that he wants a woman to help him with, he can't even name those things because he knows that he will be clocked as a loser. He knows that he will be clocked as being a bum. So if you were to ask Chad, hey, what are some of the things that you're looking for a woman to help you build? Oh, I need a woman to help me buy a house. I need a woman to help me start my business. I need a woman to help me lose weight. Okay, so you're admitting that you're a bum then. You need a personal trainer. You need a fucking mortgage broker. You need a real estate agent. Okay, so you're looking to utilize that woman's labor. And then when you actually offer these men 50-50, like some of these women, they'll be like, okay, let's do actual 50-50. If you really want to do 50-50, let's do actual 50-50. So that means when we get married, we live in separate houses. We live in separate houses and we're married then because it's 50-50, right? I'm paying for my own living expenses. I'm cleaning up after myself in my house and you are doing the exact same thing. So why is it that when it comes to living apart, they never want to do that? Living apart is the true way to really do 50-50. If you're actually trying to do it financially, where it's like you each just pay for your own expenses or, you know, what your own lifestyle can contribute, the most accurate way to do that financially would be to actually live in separate homes. But why is it that when you offer that, then the man doesn't want to do that? Well, it's because he knows that he benefits off of living with you because you're going to be doing more domestic labor. You're going to be doing more labor for him than he's going to be doing. That's why it's out of the question for a man to marry you without living with you. So that's how I know that it's not actually 50-50. Because the true definition of financial 50-50 is really just the woman stays wherever she lives and pays for her own bills and all that, and then the man pays for his own bills. Okay, so then why can't you just live apart? Why is it that men are begging to live with women? Why is it that the majority of homeless men on the street, when you watch those interviews and they're asking homeless men, like, hey, how did you become homeless? Usually it's because some woman kicked him out of her house. His ex-girlfriend kicked him out. His ex-wife kicked him out because he was an addict. His mom kicked him out. His sister kicked him out. So these men are admitting that they're codependent. Him saying that I don't want a woman waiting for me at the finish line. Okay, so then that means he needs you to help him get to the finish line. Okay, so he's codependent. He can't make it on his own. He can't swing it on his own. He's not an alpha male. You know how they talk so much about being an alpha male? He's not an alpha male on his own. So that's why you can't be waiting for him at the finish line, because he'll never achieve that finish line without you. And what those men are really saying is, I'm afraid of being used. I'm afraid of being the provider mule. Okay, so you're afraid of being used. Okay, so you want to be useless then. You want to be useless. You don't want to be useful because that means you're being used. So you would rather just be useless. Okay, so you are a bum. You just admitted that you can't get to the finish line without women. You're promoting 50-50, but you don't want her to live on her own. You have to live with her while you're going 50-50. And then the whole premise behind that talking point is you don't want to be used. Okay, so you just want to be useless. You just want to show up and slang that dick, and then that's it. You want to show up and give bad dick, and that's it. You want to show up and then just copy what you see on porn, and then you expect the woman to fake an orgasm because it's going to hurt your ego too much if she says that, you weren't satisfying her. So do you see the double standard there? You do actually want someone who's waiting for you at the finish line, because every time you finish a certain stage of your life and you move on, you naturally want a new woman. That's what you guys do. That's you guys' pattern. And a lot of men will say things like, oh, I outgrew her. I outgrew her. Oh, we grew apart. Oh, she let herself go and she let her body go and I was still losing weight. I've been on my weight loss journey. So now that I'm buff, I think I'm just going to leave her behind. So men naturally compete with women, by the way. How is a woman going to even help you get to the finish line if you're over here competing with her? So that also doesn't make sense, because saying that you want a woman to help you achieve the finish line, that implies being a good team player and actually having teamwork. We know that historically, men and women do not make good teams. Men historically are not good team players. They have a tendency to dominate and subjugate anyone who is weaker than them, whether it's physically, emotionally. So you're not even a team player. So there is no such thing as me helping you to the finish line. What does that even look like? It's funny because if you try to ask a man, like, okay, helping you to the finish line, what does that look like? Give an example. Does it look like the woman giving you advice? Because most men don't listen to women's advice. Does it look like the woman just doing free labor for you? Because that's really what it sounds like. It just sounds like straight up exploitation. Oh, I don't want you to wait for me at the finish line. I want you to help me get there. Okay, so you just want to dominate and subjugate her on your way to the finish line. You want to use that woman as your social climbing stepping stool. And then once you start that business, once you achieve that goal, once you get that first million, once you lose all the weight, you get a nice car and a nice house, then suddenly you want that woman to go away. And by the way, most men resent women who help them. They tend to resent those women because that's the woman who remembers your failure. That's the woman who saw you at your worst. And that's why I say that a lot of them, they just view these women as their launch pads. And that's also why, like, for example, this is a pretty privileged type of YouTube channel. So all of us over here, we are pretty privileged women. So a lot of us have experienced married men or men with girlfriends who are unattractive. Those men will still try to shoot their shot at us. And the only reason that they feel the boldness to shoot their shot at us is because they've got that girlfriend at home giving him a discount on his bills. Now he's got the money to have a nice car. Now he got a promotion at work. Now he's our boss at work because the wife was staying home taking care of the kids so he could work late. So he was able to climb the corporate ladder. Now he's got some power in the workplace. He doesn't really have as much power at home because he's not the main one running the home. The woman is the one who's dominating that home. The woman is the one who's running the domestic side of the relationship. So now that man will come out and he will risk it all. He's willing to risk his family. He's willing to risk his relationship with his girlfriend. Also, he can shoot his shot at one of the pretty girls. So it's almost like some of these men, they use their wives and girlfriends. They use their unattractive wives and girlfriends, or just she could be attractive, but they just use their wives and girlfriends as a soft landing pad so that when he tries to hit on other women and gets rejected, oh, well, at least I still got my girlfriend. At least I still got my main chick. I may have failed at trying to cheat, but at least I still got my main chick at home. And so he's really just using that woman as a living, breathing ego booster. He's using her as his launching pad into self-esteem, or he's using her as his launching pad to his career. That's why they say they don't want you to wait at the finish line. They want you to help them to get to the finish line. Yeah, because you're his launching pad. He's running a marathon and he wants to use you as his tennis shoes. He wants to use you as the cement while he's running the race. So it's almost like they see women as a shortcut to social climbing. That's really what that is. That's why they say that talking point, I don't want you waiting for me at the finish line, because it implies that you have a higher status than him. Because think about it. If you're waiting for him at the finish line, that means you were already there. You were already leveled up as a woman. You already had the high status. You already had a high amount of beauty. You already had the money, the popularity, the clout, whatever. He just got there. He just arrived. So that's another reason they say they don't want you waiting at the finish line, because it implies that you as the woman have already finished. You're already ahead of him. You're already upper middle class. You're already in shape. You're already attractive with a nice hairline. He's never had that in his life. And that's why I make these Decentering Men episodes. It's supposed to help you to take men off the pedestal, and it's also supposed to help you to stop taking everything they say so seriously. Stop doing that. Do not put this man on a pedestal. Do not hang on his every word, because most men are hypocrites. They're very fickle. They say one thing and then they don't actually mean it. Oh, I don't want you waiting for me at the finish line, but I want you to help me get to the finish line, but then I'm going to resent you for helping me get to the finish line. And then, by the way, by the time I reach the finish line, you've hit the wall, and you're old, and you're fat, and, you had my baby, so now you're fat, and I'm not attracted to you anymore. So now I'm going to go find someone young and hot. Do you see the hypocrisy? And also, let's talk about the concept of the finish line in the first place. Where did they even get that from? Well, they got it from their egos because they compare themselves to other men. Think about it. When you're running a race, the only time that a finish line is applicable is if you're running a race and you're competing against other people. Okay, so men naturally have a competitive spirit. He's competing against other men, and then him saying that he doesn't want you at the finish line, he's basically saying, okay, you're not the prize. Because, I don't want you to be the prize for once I get to the finish line. But in reality, you actually are a prize, because men have been socialized to believe that life is just this cycle of struggle, victory, and then you get your reward. So what do most men do as soon as they become rich, as soon as they become famous, as soon as they get some clout, they get some muscles, they get their teeth fixed? What is it that most men do? They reward themselves with women. That's what they do. They reward themselves with female validation. It's very rare for you to see a successful man who's celibate. How many men do you know who become super famous and rich and multimillionaires, and then they decide, okay, I'm just going to be celibate the rest of my life. I'm just going to be single the rest of my life and not talk to any women at all. No, women are inherently the prize. Remember that. That's why I said you can decenter men. Even if you still wanted a relationship or something, that man is still going to be chasing after you anyway, because all that wealth he attained, that nice car that he got, he's doing all of that so that he could eventually have access to women. Most men are woman-centered. Most men are sex-centered. So their whole life revolves around you. He's getting his education. He's getting this money. He's buying the nice house. He's getting these muscles. Also, he can get your attention. He's going on dating apps so he can date who? Women. I mean, unless he's gay. But generally speaking, if he's straight, most of his social activities revolve around pursuing women. I see way more dating channels that are like men trying to give other men dating advice versus women's dating channels. Usually the dating channels are run by men, and usually the dating channels are also geared towards men. So men want women way more than women want men. So that makes women inherently the prize. And by the way, it's hilarious how they call other men simps, but then they say this talking point of, oh, I don't want you waiting for me at the finish line. But then when he achieves his wealth and his clout, he immediately starts simping over the top tier women. Whatever women he has always wanted but never has access to, he becomes a simp for those women. So it's hilarious. They say, oh, well, this guy is a simp. The only reason that guy is saying that is because he wouldn't simp for that particular woman. But put a white girl in there, he'll simp for her. Put a black girl in there, he'll simp for her. Put a big booty woman in there, he will simp for her. Put an OnlyFans model in there. So every man has a particular type that he will quote unquote simp for. Also, it's pretty hilarious how they say, oh, well, I don't want a woman waiting for me at the finish line. Okay, so you don't want to be congratulated? Because how many men come on YouTube every day so they can complain about how nobody recognizes their value, nobody recognizes their worth, nobody appreciates who they are as a man? Okay, so clearly you've reached the finish line in certain areas and you want to be congratulated. So that would mean that you want the applause of women. So that's how I know that you're lying when you say, I don't want somebody waiting for me at the finish line. Yes, you do, because when nobody is waiting for you at the finish line, you create these YouTube channels where you complain about women. You create these channels saying, hey, I achieved all this wealth, I achieved all this success, I got down to 10% body fat, and I'm still a loser. I still don't have a girlfriend. Well, yeah, because even though you finished losing the weight, you didn't have a woman cheering you on at the finish line. So which one is it? Do you want someone at the finish line or do you not? Do you see what I mean when I say that they are hypocrites? That's why you should decenter them. And by the way, I've also noticed that as a man's confidence and self-worth goes up, he starts to view himself as like worthy of a different level of attention. So for example, maybe he started off dating dusty women. Maybe he started off dating belugas. And by the way, most of those YouTubers that I see, these male, alpha male types of guys, a lot of those guys' girlfriends are not even pretty. Or the women that they're with, they're not pretty. But sometimes what happens is, as a man levels up, he starts thinking, okay, I'm a doctor now, so I'm worthy of a pretty woman. So him picking that beluga, him picking the dusty women, it wasn't because he actually wanted them. It was because he just didn't feel like he was worthy of the baddies. He didn't feel like he was worthy of a pretty girl yet. He didn't feel like he actually had a shot with a pretty girl yet. And so as soon as that man reaches that finish line, that's why he's going to discard whoever helped him to get there. And if that were not true, then the divorce rates wouldn't be so high. The rate of broken homes wouldn't be so high. The rate of romantic relationships breaking up wouldn't be so high. And by the way, another reason that their finish line talking point doesn't make sense is, okay, what do you even mean when you say the finish line, sir? What are you trying to finish? Are you talking about self-improvement? Because there is not one man on this earth who is perfectly self-actualized and perfectly self-improved. So I don't even understand what the finish line is supposed to be. Is that supposed to be each goal is a separate finish line? Or it's like you just have this one big major clout chase and you spend your entire life trying to reach that finish line and you finally get it when you're 80 years old? Like they can never actually describe what they mean when they use that term finish line. What is the finish line, sir? Because it really looks like they build their whole life up just so they can feel chosen. Chosen by society, chosen by white people, chosen by corporate America, chosen by YouTube, chosen by the music industry, chosen by the NFL, chosen by the NBA. Men spend their entire lives revolving everything around being chosen. So this concept of, I don't want a woman waiting for me at the finish line, you're a damn lie. You would love to be chosen by a woman once you reach the finish line. In fact, that's the only thing that's going to make it feel worth it. And that's why we see a lot of men unaliving themselves when they become successful or rich and they don't have a woman, or they are relegated to paying for high-level SMEX workers and, all their money gets taken up by the SMEX work industry. And by the way, if you are an exotical SMEX worker, get your bags. I'm not shaming you at all. But that's what happens. His money's always going to get siphoned off to a woman, whether he likes it or not. He is either paying alimony to his ex, he's paying child support, or he has a child, he has a daughter that he has to take care of, or he has a mother that he's taking care of. He has a girlfriend, he's got a side chick, he's got ex-workers. So no matter what, that wealth that he has, it will be going to a woman. And whenever they want to go 50-50, they just want the benefit of a woman. They want to offload the financial risk. He's offloading emotional regulation because usually the woman is the one who's emotionally regulating that relationship. Unless that man is really ratchet, unless he likes really ratchet, ghetto, trashy women. That's a totally different sector of men. I'm talking about the men who hit the quote unquote finish line, whatever that means to them. Usually if they want to go 50-50, he's trying to offload domestic labor onto the woman. He's offloading stress onto the woman, but then he gets to keep sexual access, the companionship, the status of being chosen, the status of being a husband or a father. Oh, he's such a good father. He's so wholesome. And then he gets that soft landing place. So when he takes off his wedding ring, when he goes out in public, and then he tries to hit on other women and gets rejected, he still has a soft landing pad, and it's you, his wife at home. His wife at home doing the dishes. So that's not neutral. 50-50 is not a neutral relationship because he's expecting the woman to be sexually available 100% of the time while he also looks at porn on the side. He also has an OnlyFans girl on the side. He also has an AI girlfriend on the side. But you're supposed to be loyal to him. In fact, go and watch those channels from those men who talk about pickup artistry and stuff. They will say, oh, well, she has to be loyal to me, but I don't have to be loyal to her. Okay, so that's not even 50-50 emotionally or sexually. So they don't actually want equality. They just want a woman to contribute to their lifestyle, and they want that woman to have no leverage. They want asymmetrical independence. They want power over women. It's another form of domination and subjugation. So all these gaslighting phrases they're using, oh, I don't want you waiting for me at the finish line. Oh, I want 50-50. But you can't live in your own house, though, and pay your own bills while I pay my own bills. No, it's 50-50. Oh, except you have to live with me. And you have to live in my house and then do my decorations. My ugly ass posters on the wall. You have to deal with that. All my mismatched colors in the kitchen and my dirty rugs. And you have to do my laundry. And that's quote unquote 50-50. We already know that most men out here are living dusty lives. Even men who are wealthy. A lot of wealthy men, if you look at their mansions and stuff, oftentimes it's like it has no decorations or anything. You open the fridge, there's nothing in there. So it's not like once he makes $100K or above, suddenly he's living this life of luxury. Most men, they don't even know how to regulate their own emotions. Why would they know how to regulate their living space? Why would they suddenly know how to create a life of luxury for themselves? They view luxury as having a woman's presence. That's why they look at porn in their spare time. That's why if they play video games, the video games always have a beautiful woman with an hourglass shape, a thin body, or they have these female rappers who are being featured in video games. They always have a girlfriend or a female character in the video games. Notice how they don't have all men's gyms. That's not popular. That's not popular as much as a co-ed gym is. It's because you are the luxury as the woman. He views your presence in and of itself as a luxury. That's why men call other men losers and incels when they don't have access to a woman. Also, this whole concept of calling women gold diggers, first of all, most men are poor, but they don't want a gold digger. They want you to help them get the gold. Okay, so bitch, am I a miner? Am I supposed to be underground mining for diamonds for your dusty ass? So they don't want you to be a gold digger. They just want you to be their slave to help them acquire the gold so that they have more gold to cheat on you with. And by the way, I am a firm believer in once a cheater, always a cheater. So he cheated when he was broke. He cheated when he barely had any options. So what makes you think that he's suddenly going to turn faithful once he does have options? So they don't want to be the provider. They don't want to be used for their money, but they want the woman to silently be used for her money. And then for the men who try to shame women, like, oh, she only wants a guy who's at the finish line. Well, what am I supposed to do? Get the guy in last place? Am I supposed to get the loser at the back of the line? He's in last place. He just started yesterday. Am I supposed to get with the guy who's just a beginner? He's not established, has nothing going for himself. So that's how I know it's only the losers and dusties that are making that argument. Oh, well, she wants a man who's already finished his goals. And by the way, that really doesn't even exist. But it sounds like the men at the bottom of the dating pool are just jealous of the men who are better than them in terms of desirability. That's really what it is. Everybody wants a winner. Nobody wants a loser, right? So why are you mad that women don't want losers? You guys tell women that, oh, you need to choose better, and then you get mad when those women want to choose a man who crossed the finish line. So you've got people telling women don't settle, but then they get mad when the women don't settle for them. Or they get mad when we decenter men altogether and just focus on ourselves. And by the way, everything that I've been talking about for the last 30 minutes, those are all reasons to decenter men. Stop putting them on the pedestal. They're going to be talking in circles. They're incredibly hypocritical. All of the things that they shame women for doing are things that they are doing themselves. So they shame you for being a single mother, but then he's proud to be a single father. He shames you for sleeping with a lot of people, but then he's proud to sleep with a lot of people. Okay, so he's a hypocrite. And also this concept of not wanting to get to the finish line. Okay, well, dating, you're not entitled to a relationship, sir. We are not required to give you our pussies. We are not required to give you a romantic relationship. We don't owe you romance because you cooked and cleaned at your apartment. That's not how life works. So actually, sir, yes, dating is a reward. It is a reward if somebody chooses to spend their time with you. That actually is a reward because you're not entitled to that. That's not a human right. You don't have a right to be romantic with somebody. No, that's something that is not required. You don't need a girlfriend in order to survive unless you're codependent. So again, you just proved my point. Any man who feels entitled when it comes to a relationship, he's codependent. But what do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.